Di sini ya kelihatan orang dipandangnya jelek, tapi orang kitanya kalau di sininya nyaman, jadi usahanya gampang, ya di rumahnya juga ada, begitu.
They call it the mountain, a monstrous swell of waste. Southeast Asia's largest landfill, where the ground breathes heat and rot. Black swarms of flies hover over rotting vegetables, torn cloth mattresses, plastic scraps, shattered furniture, oily car parts, and discarded medical x-rays. Scattered among it all are stray cats, goats, rats, cockroaches, and thousands of men and women rummaging through the trash in search of their own personal treasures. This is not a landfill hidden far from sight. It's just outside Jakarta, where entire families live, eat and raise their children among the things the city throws away. Number 1. Garbage mountain of capital Jakarta. Tucked into the industrial outskirts of Bekasi, just east of Jakarta, Bantar Gebang, is the largest landfill in Southeast. This open-air dump has become an unspoken extension of the capital itself. It spans more than 110 hectares, that's nearly 200 football fields worth of waste. From the air, it resembles a massive patchwork quilt of trash stitched together by decades of neglect. Bantar Gebang represents something uniquely Indonesian, a kind of unofficial self-made economy. Built in 1989 on what used to be rice fields, the landfill is now home to former farmers who once dug the earth for food and now dig through garbage for survival. Many of them have built makeshift shelters right on top of the trash using salvaged materials from the mountain itself, such as wood planks, tarps, and discarded metal. But this isn't just Jakarta's garbage. Every single day, garbage trucks thunder in from 3 cities, Jakarta, Bekasi, and Depok. By the time the sun sets, more than 6,500 to 7,500 tons of trash have been dumped onto the mountain. That's the equivalent of over 1 million filled garbage bags dumped every single day. As Jakarta's population swells past 34 million, the problem isn't shrinking. It's growing faster than the city can handle. Despite repeated pledges from both local and national authorities to shut the landfill or replace it with cleaner waste-to-energy solutions, Bantar Gebang continues to expand. In 2025, satellite data revealed that the landfill had grown by nearly 10% in just 2 years, swallowing nearby land and creeping dangerously close to residential areas. It's more than a garbage site now. It's a living, breathing monument to a city's broken waste system and to the thousands of lives that depend on it just to survive. Number 2. Life among the trash. Beneath the haze and the heat, an invisible city rises. It was built not with steel or glass, but with discarded scraps and human will. According to a report, around 6,000 to 20,000 people now live and work in and around Southeast Asia's largest landfill. This isn't a temporary camp. It's a long-term community forged in waste and woven together by shared survival. They are known as pemulang scavengers, who sort through mountains of trash for plastic bottles, bits of copper wire, aluminum cans, and anything else that can be sold to middlemen for a few thousand rupiah. Most of them sleep right where they work. Their homes, if you can call them, that are patched together shelters, 1 or 2 rooms at best, made of warped plywood, torn tarps, carpet scraps, cardboard and plastic banners once used to advertise credit cards or soft drinks. The nails holding them together are often pulled directly from the trash. These fragile dwellings cling to the sides of the landfill like tattered camouflage, their outlines melting into the hills of garbage. There's no running water, no electricity, and no sanitation, only the buzz of flies and the stench of decay. Still, life finds strange routines. Abandoned sofas are reused as cafe seating, where tea and stale biscuits are served for coins. At dusk, open patches of bulldozed flat become volleyball courts. A small outdoor cinema, run with scavenged speakers and old generators, plays films once a week. The call to prayer broadcast through a crackling loudspeaker echoes across the garbage hills 5 times each day. A reminder of ritual in a place where almost everything else is improvised. An estimated 2,000 families now live here permanently, many of them unregistered, undocumented, and invisible to the city beyond. Most are unskilled migrants from rural Java. Some were born into this way of life. Others were pushed here by poverty debt or desperation. I couldn't eat for weeks when I first arrived, says Dottie, a 25-year-old new to the landfill. The smell like sour milk mixed with something dead made me vomit every single day. But over time, even the unbearable becomes routine. For many here, this landfill is more than a job site. It's the only place left where they can afford to exist. Number 3. Women in garbage hell. If survival here is difficult for anyone, it is twice as hard for women. Women make up nearly 40% of the scavengers who work at Bantar Gebang. Many are single mothers, raising children alone while picking through heaps of waste to earn just enough for rice cooking oil or used baby formula. And while the landfill offers no safety for anyone, it is particularly unforgiving to women. There are no toilets here, no walls, no privacy. Most women relieve themselves behind trash piles, shielding themselves only with torn plastic or cardboard. During menstruation, the situation becomes even more difficult. Without access to sanitary pads, many are forced to use rags they find in the garbage strips of fabric that may be stained unsanitary or soaked in unknown substances. Showers are a luxury no one expects. A bucket of water, if available, is shared between entire families. At night, the danger grows. With no electricity, most shelters are left in complete darkness after sunset. Flashlights are rare, and many women fear walking alone to use the bathroom or return from the sorting fields. Some have reported harassment groping, or worse, especially in the darker corners of the landfill, where people work late into the evening to meet their daily quota. But there is no police presence here, no legal protection, no hotline to call. Even so, they carry on. These women, invisible to the city, forgotten by the state, wake up before dawn, strap their babies to their backs, and head back into the trash. They work 12 to 14 hours a day, often without gloves, sorting recyclables with bare hands. Then they cook, wash, soothe crying children, and prepare for another day on the mountain. In a place built from what society throws away, these women live lives that go unseen, laboring between survival and silence in a system that offers them nothing but the right to keep going. However, what you've heard so far is only the surface. The most disturbing truths are still to come. Stay with us until the end of the video. And don't miss what lies beneath. Number 4. Eat trash to live. When food becomes a luxury, survival takes on desperate forms. In the shadow of Jakarta's skyline, families at Bantar Gebang don't dine, they dig. Each morning, adults and children alike sift through mountains of garbage, searching not just for plastic or metal, but for leftovers tossed out by restaurants, supermarkets, and hotels. This daily search for food has become so routine, it even has a name, nasi sisa, which means leftover rice. Half-eaten meals are collected in plastic bags, carried back home and sorted. What looks edible is rinsed, boiled again, and shared around. Rice with unknown sauce and fried chicken bones with bits of meat. Vegetables have gone soft, and fish with a smell that's just borderline. Sometimes they're lucky. A sealed box of crackers, an expired carton of milk, or an unopened snack pack. Other times, nothing appears usable, but hunger rarely offers a choice. This way of eating carries obvious risks, such as diarrhea worms, gastric infections, malnutrition. Access to healthcare is nearly non-existent. Those who fall ill either wait to recover on their own or try herbal remedies passed from neighbor to neighbor. Neela, a 31-year-old mother of 3 cooks for her family, using what she pulls from the landfill each day. I look for vegetables, fish, or meat, she says, crouching over a wood fire behind her shack. If it looks okay, smells okay, I'll take it. So far, we've had no problems. For many here, this isn't poverty, it's just life. Over time, what once felt unthinkable becomes a daily rhythm. Some even say they've gained respect among neighbors outside the dump. People used to ask how I could live here. It stinks, I stink, one man recalls. But when they saw I made more than them, they stopped asking. Most scavengers earn around 30,000 rupiah a day, the equivalent of 2 British pounds. It's barely enough to buy a hot meal in the city. Among them are children, some no older than 5, who spend their days learning how to recognize valuable plastic rather than learning how to read. On this mountain, food isn't chosen. It's recovered, reheated, and hoped for. Number 5. Bantar Gebang children. Childhood in Bantar Gebang doesn't begin with toys or textbooks. It begins with trash. In a place where every pair of hands helps put food on the table, children rarely have the chance to be children. Many have never attended school. Uniforms, books, transport, all of it costs money that families simply don't have. Instead of classrooms, they grow up beside garbage trucks. From the age of 5 or 6, children join their parents on the mountain sorting through trash from sunrise to sunset. They learn to recognize the color of valuable plastic before they learn to read. Cuts and infections are part of daily life injuries from broken glass, rusted metal, or needles buried in the trash. Without access to proper medicine or first aid, even a small wound can become serious. More worryingly, a growing number of children in the area face an even more silent danger: inhalant abuse. With no supervision, no playgrounds, and no structured learning, many turn to sniffing industrial glue like Lemfox, a cheap way to escape hunger and hopelessness, despite there being efforts to help. A few local organizations have set up makeshift classrooms, often in small huts or community shelters near the landfill. But teachers are few and supplies are basic. Lessons happen irregularly, interrupted by the noise of machines and the constant movement of waste. Education here is fragile, dependent on donations, volunteer time, and the hope that a child won't be too tired or too needed at home to attend. For most, the landfill defines the limits of their world. The idea of a different life, one with school safety and choices, is distant, abstract, almost unreachable. Over time, what should have been temporary becomes permanent. Childhood dissolves into labor, and survival becomes the only lesson that sticks. In Bantar Gebang, children grow up fast, not because they want to, but because the mountain gives them no other option. And while the human cost is visible in every child's face, the damage doesn't stop there. The landfill is also poisoning the land, the air, and the future around it. Number 6. Health and environmental issues. The health crisis in Bantar Gebang doesn't end with the people who live on the mountain. It spills out quietly into the surrounding land, air, and water. Beneath the surface of the landfill, methane gas builds under pressure, a byproduct of decomposing organic waste. The risk of explosion is real. In past years, fires have broken out, sending toxic smoke across neighborhoods several kilometers away. On days when the wind shifts, entire communities are blanketed in haze that burns the eyes and lungs. leachate, a thick black liquid formed from compressed waste leaks from the base of the mountain into nearby rivers and drainage canals. Locals report changes in the color, smell, and taste of their well water. For many, it is the only water available. Respiratory illness, chronic stomach infections, and skin rashes, these are no longer isolated cases. Health workers in nearby districts have reported a steady rise in symptoms linked to environmental exposure. But official data remains limited. Few want to admit how far the damage has spread. Hidden in the waste is another more dangerous threat. Improperly discarded medical garbage. Scattered among plastic bags and food waste are used syringes, blood-soaked bandages, expired medicine, intravenous fluid bags, and surgical gloves. All dumped without separation or safety protocols. The Indonesian government has acknowledged its lack of control over medical waste, especially from small clinics and private providers. According to Lina Trimugi Astuti of the Indonesian Environmental Scientists Association, the country has close to 3,000 hospitals, nearly 10,000 public health centers, and more than 8,000 private clinics. But fewer than 100 of them have their own waste treatment facilities. During an investigation published in February 2019, Tempo magazine discovered that several private waste contractors had illegally dumped medical waste at 8 military bases in East Java. That same report revealed a hospital in the city of Pasuruan had sold its medical waste to a private recycling firm. With no active checkpoints in place, most garbage trucks drive directly into Bantar Gebang. Mixing diapers, leftover food, used syringes, and medical waste into the same mountain. And so the pile grows. With it, the invisible cost not only to the poor who live inside it, but to a much wider circle of people, soil, and sky who never gave consent to be part of this collapse. Number 7. An unjust system. In Bantar Gebang, waste is not just a burden. It is a reflection of inequality carved into the ground. Each day, thousands of tons of garbage pour in from the wealthiest neighborhoods of Jakarta, with high-rise condos, luxury malls, office towers with mirrored glass. These districts generate mountains of waste behind closed doors, but rarely face any consequence. The trash disappears from view as if by magic. No fines, no tracking, no responsibility. But that waste doesn't vanish. It travels quietly to the margins, to the outskirts where the poorest live, to landfills like Bantar Gebang. And it is there, far from the air-conditioned comfort of the city center, that people must breathe, eat, and raise their children beside rotting garbage and leaking toxins. For the rich, throwing something away is effortless, a moment forgotten. But that single act sets off a chain reaction. In Bantar Gebang, it becomes a job for a barefoot child, a health hazard for a mother, or a life-shortening exposure for a scavenger who never had another choice. Indonesia still lacks a national system for waste separation. All trash, organic waste, plastic packaging, electronics, chemicals, even used syringes are thrown together unfiltered. At the end of this chain, it is the waste pickers, working without gloves, without protective gear, who are left to untangle the chaos. Every bag they open carries risk of infection, injury, or worse. The idea of a circular economy, where materials are reused and waste is minimized, is promoted in policy documents and government speeches. But on the ground, implementation is patchy, underfunded, and often symbolic. This is not the failure of those who live among the waste. They did not build this system, nor do they benefit from it. They are merely surviving inside it, carrying the weight of a throwaway culture designed elsewhere. As long as the privileged are allowed to consume without limits and discard without consequence, it will be the poor who pay the price. Not in money, but in lungs, in dignity, and in years of life lost. Number 8. Small efforts. Amid the overwhelming scale of Bantar Gebang, Small efforts are quietly pushing back, not through sweeping reforms, but through community action. One of the most inspiring stories begins with Reza Boenard, a woman who spent her childhood on the slopes of this garbage mountain. She grew up watching green rice paddies slowly disappear beneath 6,000 tons of Jakarta's waste. Like many children here, she was teased at school for the sour smell of landfill stuck to her clothes and shoes. But instead of escaping for good, Reza chose to return armed with education and a vision. She founded the BGBJ Center, short for Seeds of Bantar Gebang, a space offering after-school programs and creative workshops for local kids. The goal is simple but powerful: to break the cycle of poverty by opening a path beyond the landfill. BGBJ also operates a small guest house, allowing visitors from volunteers to researchers to witness life at the edge of Jakarta's trash system. A recycling studio trains women and young people to create customized household products from waste, with profits returning directly to the community. This year, Reza joined Arbi, a social enterprise turning plastic from Bantar Gebang into commercial-grade building materials. An effort to give waste a second life and dignity to those who work with it. Still, despite all these efforts, their reach remains limited. The communities continue to wait for a larger policy shift for serious support from the government. But so far, those hopes remain suspended in promises, while the waste keeps coming truck by truck. Number 9. Bantar Gebang is a direct consequence. The towering waste of Bantar Gebang is more than just a landfill. It is a mirror of Jakarta's failed urban experiment. Over decades, the capital sprawled outward with little long-term planning. Today, Jakarta faces a perfect storm of crises: chronic traffic congestion, toxic air pollution, yearly floods, and dangerous land subsidence caused by unchecked groundwater extraction. In response, the Indonesian government made a historic decision and has now officially moved the nation's capital to Nusantara in East Kalimantan. The new city, positioned as a sustainable smart metropolis, is meant to represent a fresh national beginning. But while government offices and elite institutions are relocating, millions of urban poor, including those living near Bantar Gebang, are being left behind. The trash still arrives by the ton, the air still chokes, and the inequality remains untouched. Bantar Gebang is not an isolated crisis. It is the outcome of a deeply unequal model of urbanization, where the costs of progress are quietly exported to the edges. Jakarta's rich districts consume without restraint. Its poor outskirts absorb the fallout in the form of garbage pollution and forgotten lives. The relocation to Nusantara may signal ambition at the national level, but for families still living beside garbage mountains, it also sends another message: you are not part of the future we're building. Until this divide is addressed, Jakarta's shadow will continue to grow, even as the capital's name and location change. Number 10. Indonesia's double trap. Indonesia is walking a dangerous tightrope, caught between two growing forces: an exploding waste crisis and intensifying climate extremes. As the second-largest plastic polluter globally after China, Indonesia produces millions of tons of unmanaged waste annually, and most of it ends up in uncontrolled landfills or rivers like the 6,700-ton daily dump at Bantar Gebang. But now, climate change is turning these garbage mountains into something far more dangerous. Prolonged droughts cause leachate toxic black wastewater from decomposing trash to overflow into farmlands and waterways. Sudden rains and flash floods, increasingly common across Java and Sumatra, risk triggering deadly landslides. In August 2023, the Sarimukti landfill in West Java partially collapsed following intense rain burying access roads and temporarily halting waste delivery. Although no one was killed, the incident underscored how unstable these landfills have become during extreme weather. In January 2025, a series of landslides and flash floods struck Pekalongan in central Java, killing over 20 people and displacing hundreds. Though not caused by trash alone, the scale of human exposure. Poor land planning and overwhelmed drainage systems paint a grim picture. These are not isolated warnings. In March 2023, landslides on Sarasan Island killed nearly 50 people after torrential rain destabilized already fragile hillsides. The memory of the Loiwagaja garbage landslide in 2005, which killed almost 150 people in Bandung, remains painfully relevant. Bantar Gebang, with its ever-growing volume and unstable terrain, could be the next headline unless something changes. This is the climate trap Indonesia now faces, waste and weather compounding each other. Will the government act with urgency, or will they again wait? Until it's too late, and another disaster makes the world pay attention. Bantar Gebang is not just a landfill. Behind every plastic bag tossed away in a city mall, there is a child picking through the dirt. Behind every convenience, there is a mountain growing one truckload at a time. The people of Bantar Gebang are not statistics. They are survivors, mothers, fathers, children. Building lives on what the world throws away. Will we look away, or will we finally do something about it? If this story moved, you don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the NVL travel documentary, where untold voices and hidden places are never ignored.